Amazing are children, for they come ready for the time in which they are born. This is preparations to read the whole child. I do not by any means consider myself to have mastered the English language. However, one need not be a scholar to teach reading. To create a strong foundation in reading, a child should be taught phonetically, learning sounds, blends, memorizing sight words, basic language rules, creativity, and incorporating all of the senses. Of course, we use sight and sound, but we have other senses that can be an asset to learning, such as touch and sensory techniques, taste, smell, and visual aids. This is because people absorb information in different ways. One child may grasp an idea simply by sound, and another by touch or taste. Reading is the key to success. It gives a child their best chance at achieving their highest potential if learned before kindergarten. Reading is about more than blends and words, symbols, and sounds. It's about the whole child. The ability to articulate and communicate well determines our successes, our failures, in many cases, our survival. Lack of self-esteem and confidence can and does affect a child's ability to excel. Our society has put forth physical images as well as messaging in which we are held up and compared to. For those who haven't been armed against this at an early age, it can create a sense of self-inferiority. This exists in all cultures and ethnicities. Instill in your child a sense of beauty and self by complimenting their physical characteristics and by telling them how beautiful and capable they are. This will help them become comfortable in their skin. When they enter the traditional classroom, disparities will not get in the way of their learning. I have a little story about instilling confidence and self-esteem in a child. I wanted to expose my children to experiences I didn't have. My family was very poor. I was taking my son ice skating for the first time. He was about 8 years old. As we were taking our skates out of the trunk, a man asked my child if he could ice skate. My son answered, "I'm an excellent ice skater." I looked at my son and I smiled. "But you've never ice skated," I said. He simply smiled and we continued into the ice rink. One more thing. Parents are the first teachers, which means what parents model is much of how the child views and believes the world to be. So be aware, they are sponges. They're watching and committing everything they hear and see to memory. Take advantage of their abilities and give them a running start by teaching them to read early and preparing them for the world. Children need explanations of why things are as they are. They must be taught the simplest concepts. Do not feel your child can just pick things up. It doesn't work that way. They need help with understanding. The video lessons will cover first the child's lessons, followed by notes for parents. This concludes preparations to read the whole child. You are ready to begin the first lesson. consonant sounds. Happy creative learning!
Hello, I'm Naejh, and this is Teaching Tips for Parents. There are 20 consonant letters, which make consonant letters the longest lesson in the program. And it begins with having the child in mind who has little or no knowledge of physical images, letter names, or sounds, and need help enunciating and connecting these three essential elements. If your child enters a program with letter knowledge, find the section that best fits his or her level, begin there, and follow the process, which is mastering each lesson in random order before moving ahead. Knowing letters in random order assures that the child can recall them instantly without hesitation, because first letters of words and sentences are not in alphabetical order. It also tells us that the lesson has moved to the child's long-term memory. Teach your child based on their attention span and memory capabilities. Children are individuals. They take in information differently and at different speeds. Some children may be able to take on all 20 consonants at once, and some may only be able to take on 5 at a time. Your attention span is patience. You may need to walk away and revisit the lesson at a later time. The beauty of learning on the go is that when a child is in a car seat, they have nowhere to go. And we spend so much time waiting in lines, which are perfect times to pull out those lessons and go over them. When at home, have them in convenient places. At the table, waiting for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and bedtime before you read that bedtime story. Children with high energy levels and short attention spans may need social emotional development techniques to settle down into study. Music is a good asset. Shake My Sillies Out by Raffi. Once we do this, we can sit, listen, and learn. That's what I tell my students. The Freeze is another good song, which teaches children how to control their bodies. Another technique is having children take deep breaths when they're getting a little overexcited, or sitting in yoga style on the floor and having them take a deep breath, relax, and maybe do an exercise or two before studying. When children use the excuse of being tired, tell them they can take a nap, and then you can revisit the lesson when they awake. Giving the child two choices and having them choose one is a good technique in any situation. They believe they are in control, and at the same time, either choice works for you. Another technique is asking them if they need help or if they can do it by themselves. Most children don't want help, and that's a prompt to get them to do what has been hard to get them to do. Journal writing is another tool for recording lessons on the brain. Write lessons as they appear in the lessons with symbols. And try to do this at least once daily. When they begin journal writing, put your hand over the child's hand and help them write the letters the first few times. Start by numbering the lines. 1, 2, 3 space, 1, 2, 3 space. Tall letters go from line 1 to line 3. Half-size letters go from line 2 to line 3. And letters with tails go from line 2 and hang in the space below line 3. After a while, you won't need the lines. This is a time for raising the child's word knowledge by giving them definitions and words that mean the same thing. For example, slants in letters are also diagonal lines. When they are writing a B and a D, explain to them that the half circle is on the opposite side of the line. Use all of the senses if necessary to teach. Sensory concepts is using the material, smell, taste, or feel of an object, making a connection which triggers the child's memory to recall a specific letter or word. For example, feeling water running over their fingers for the letter W, wa. Feeling sticky tape for the letter T. Finger tracing letters helps a child feel the direction in which letters are going. Touch, something furry. Sight, visual aids. I had a student that was stumbling on the letter Q. I pulled out a quilt and I showed them how the quilt is put together by using different shapes of cloth and that they are sewn together by hand. All the little stitches with needle and thread. And that helped them remember the letter and sound of Q. Let's talk about rewards. There are many ways to reward children. One way is making a chart and having them earn a sticker for each accomplishment. Only one, because we don't want it to become a sticker art project. Children learn that you don't get something for nothing, and hard work rewards. Also, show excitement. When they choose the sticker, oh my goodness, talk about how awesome that sticker is. Oh, and talk about the colors and how much you like it. At the end of the day, be consistent. There may be days you only get one lesson in, and other days you may get 10 lessons in. As long as you're consistent and you do something every day, the child will advance. This concludes Teaching Tips for Parents for the first lesson. Happy creative learning.